Hello, good evening, and welcome to MBA Wallah English Medium. My name is Vikrant, and I have with me today Raviteja. Now, over the years, it so happened that I have met a lot of Ravitejas, and somehow we've also gotten along really very well, very well, and very nicely. And therefore, I think that puts me in a very comfortable space. So, let me quickly give you a brief idea of Ravi. You already know that Ravi has now finally converted IIM Bangalore. And he is a CA with 2 years of work experience. In this session, we will go ahead and ask him things that are useful for you, helpful for you. So let's begin. So Ravi, can you briefly tell us about your background? Which city
Yes,
you are from and
yeah,
school, college, whatever that comes to your mind.
yeah. So I'm basically from Hyderabad, born and brought up here. So done my entire education in here. I've done my CA and got 2 years of work. So I worked in HSBC, and 4 months before CAT, I've quit my job. So served 3 months notice and got 20 odd days for CAT prep and completely. So I've just done that, and post that I've been preparing for interviews. And yeah, coming to my profile, it's 999. And yeah, in COBC, CA with 2 years of work ex. Yeah.
Fabulous. So let's in fact, I find that very intriguing. A lot of people who are in the final year of their graduation, they start their preparation and they almost invariably ask me, "Sir, my graduation is getting over now in 26. I'm writing CAT 26, so and there'll be this gap year. And what do I do?" And most of them are somehow reluctant to opt for the best solution, which is working. So, what was your take? How did you manage to keep your preparation streamlined along with your work?
Uh, yes, sir. So my initial thought was to continue with job along with preparation. So that is the ideal thing. But coming to me personally, my work got increased and I had to assume other roles. So which I felt I had to delay my CAD to next year. So which I don't want to do. And so yeah, I tried to manage because I was in notice period. So I got that extra time and I had fully focused. So I almost studied 6 to 8 hours consistently for the past like 4 months before care.
Fabulous. So, how many hours did you have to devote to your work every day on an average?
Yeah, 8 to 10 hours. So,
Okay, so
yeah,
8 to 10 hours of work. And you said that you
yes.
got free from your job just 20 days before the CAT exam.
Yeah, so before that, I was
So,
serving my notice period for three
so
months. So
you,
I did my
you were
preparation parallelly.
okay. So
And yeah,
you practically were working and preparing, right? So
yes,
in that
yeah, yeah.
case, 6 to 8 hours every day with work, that's definitely on the higher side. So how disciplined were you throughout this process, and how did you manage to bring that discipline out consistently?
Yeah, so my friends used to say like, "How are you doing?" So I used to say that because I've quit, I had no other option. So I'm not suggesting people to quit, but so yeah, I think I just had one thing, and that took to get good, like good percentile in CAT. And so what I did was, so I am a morning person, so I used to wake up 4, 5, and because my
Oh.
working timing started at 11, so I used to like
Mhm.
5 hours. I would got easily get there only, and my company had hybrid policy, so I used to go to office just for 2 days a week. So I has to, fully whenever I get time, I used to solve sums and problems, watch YouTube videos.
Oh, wow.
I used to manage that.
That's fantastic, yeah. So out of the three sections, which section was the one that was your favorite?
Favorite is DILR and Quant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty consistent. Yeah, you did your graduation in science or commerce? Since you did a
It's
C, I'm assuming
commerce,
commerce.
comms. Yeah,
Okay.
comms.
All right. So a lot of people tend to struggle with LR. In fact, I remember when I wrote the exam and I came out and I was talking to people, plenty of them were worried about LR. So what is your preparation strategy for LR, and how did you turn that into your area of strength?
Yeah, that's my favorite. But but if you look at my scorecard, it's no strength. But I think everything went haywire and went opposite.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would
Hmm.
come to that later. But coming to LR prep, I feel I feel LR is all about being prepared to attempt rather than knowing stuff and putting like having lots of stuff in mind and doing it. So it's more about having the ability to solve and we get that ability by solving more and more sums and being consistent. And
Mm-hmm.
the sums, the caliber that CAD gives can be seen from previous year questions. So my policy was daily solve 3 4 sets from previous year questions from 2017. We have so many, and
Mm-hmm.
that would suffice. And obviously, we give mocks as well, and there are YouTube videos as well where we can get. So yeah, I think it's pretty normal, but it's more about like being in the zone and stuff like
Okay,
that.
so just to pick up on the thread, you said that everything in the exam went haywire. So what
Yeah,
exactly happened and how did you deal with it?
yeah. So my weak subject and most inconsistent subject was VRC. I know you would
Now that's
laugh at it.
okay. No,
Yeah,
of course, as a VRC teacher, I have that bias, but then I've also been an aspirant once and I have a lot of friends. So I know that not everybody counts on VRC to help them
yeah.
seal the deal. So it's okay.
Yeah, because yeah, it's that one section I was afraid, and I was afraid I wouldn't even clear the cutoff. So I was like
Mhm.
maybe thought FMS was the only option. So at one point,
Right.
and yeah, actually that got me more marks. So it got like double the score that I've got in the rest of the section.
Oh,
So
wow.
life works in miracle ways. So yeah,
Hmm.
so actually. VRC went okay, so it went fine for me on the CAT day. And coming to DILR, so it's not as expected, and paper got really tough. And I just solved 1.5 set, and that actually carried on to my quant. So quant was easy, relatively easy, but because that I had in my mind DILR that I didn't give properly, I felt like 2 sets is a bare minimum, and I couldn't even solve 2 sets, and I felt like I've messed it up, and so
Hmm.
it's gone. And that kept running in my mind for quant as well, and actually that messed up my quant paper, or else I would have got even more. But yeah, so
Hmm.
VRC is a subject that I've got more, and DLR and quant, which are relatively my strengths, that has gone haywire and gone bad.
Okay. So I think so anybody who prepares, I think this is one aspect that they can also then at least be mentally prepared for. That okay, there are times when you may not really go ahead and solve as many questions as you thought you would, but
Yes.
then you'd learn to move on from there really, you know?
Yeah.
So
So
that's something that
yeah. Yes. So even in
definitely.
mocks, I used to solve like 3 4 sets on consistent basis,
Consistent, true.
and unable to solve 1.5 set, like even 2 sets, like it
It can
completely
be.
messed up. And actually, one thing is like you shouldn't carry one paper to other. If one subject or paper is difficult, it will be difficult for everybody. So
True.
we should think that, and yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what about VRC specifically? Since you were not that comfortable with VRC, what was your strategy? How did you go on to prepare?
Yeah. So actually, I don't know how it became my weak subject because I used to read a lot, so I was good in English. But when it comes
Okay.
to CAT, I feel we overburden ourselves, so we have lots of things in our mind, and we don't
Hmm.
stick to one thing, and we try so many things, and not stick to one thing. So I think that will mess VRC. And initially, I used to just focus on RCs, so actually, I changed my strategy just 10, 12 days before CAT that I have to touch VA as well. And when I consistently included VA also, so then I felt little comfortable, and I felt okay that I'm gonna clear cutoffs. So I'm gonna get good percentage. So that was my mindset. And
Fabulous.
one more thing I want to add is I think in CAT preparation you have two options: either trial and error or take a good course and stick to it, follow blindly. I think so. People don't really think about it and do it. Even I did the same. And like if I would have properly structured my preparation, easily my hard work and everything would have gone even more better and even more fruitful. So I say if you have lots of times and if you are not really a person who goes into courses, then I
Hmm.
feel trial and error. Or else for majority of the people, taking a good course and following it blindly, eyes closed, is the best thing to do.
Fantastic. So, Ravi, I mean, you are saying that there are things that you could have done differently now when you look back. But even then, yeah, you have a fabulous percentile. So, now it's not that the percentiles were an issue, but then I think it's that mindset that actually separates people who don't get a great percentile from those who do end up getting great percentile. So, you constantly, even after the cat, it appears analyzing, things that could have changed, things that could have been done differently. So, any
Yeah.
specific tip that you would want to give to our students? In fact, let me take a question from Varsha. Varsha says, "How did you manage?" preparing all the three subjects daily. So, did you go through all the three sections daily, or did you structure it in a different way?
Yeah, so I did all the three daily. So
Hmm.
I feel we have to be in touch with all the subjects because I had more time. I did, if not at least two papers a day, and maybe rotate it on the alternate day. So that's my pattern, and I feel that's the best way because it's all about, we are preparing our mind to be in the best space, and if we keep in touch with it, so our mind will become better at it, even
Hmm.
be it studying, I mean, be it reading VRC passages or solving puzzles or being in the zone for quant. So it's more about being prepared, and I feel being in touch with all the papers helps. And yeah,
So, how did you then structure it since you targeted going through all the three sections every day? Uh, did you set a time limit or a task limit that, hey, I'll do this much and then I will definitely switch over to the other section? How did you approach managing the
yeah.
time in that sense?
Yeah, yeah. So one thing is like whatever we plan, it won't go. We should live with it and make peace, and we should just move on to other papers. So I used to watch early morning your videos. So I'm being honest. So 1 to 100 series. So I used to watch 2 to 3 videos of yours. And first, initially, I used to stop you, pause your video, solve my questions myself. And then after that, I used to solve 2, 3 DL assets, then goes to quant. So I used
Okay,
to do that. So nothing two,
fantastic.
2 hours each. That's my
Mhm.
thing.
So I think so, Varsha. I think one key thing here is that you are looking at preparing for 6 to 8 hours every day. Once you start bringing in that kind of effort, that kind of time, it becomes feasible too. Any favorite book or books that you'd like to recommend? Since you said that you are into reading, maybe there are
Yeah.
certain books that you can suggest.
No, actually, I stopped reading Ayn Rand uh, because
Arey,
it's more because I was getting occupied with it and all the thoughts.
preparation.
So for VRC, I
True.
thought that is the best thing. But I feel reading anything, and it's more about glancing through passages and
True.
having the back of mind. So that more helps rather than focusing more on it. Yeah, I think I just won't finish books, but I'll just read when I feel
Mhm.
like, yeah, so many motivations.
And how many mocks did you go on to write in this entire
Yeah.
process?
Yeah, so my mock strategy was simple. So let's say 4 months of CAT prep I did. So from the initial day, so I gave CAT, I mean, I gave mock so that I know where I am and where should I work. So I think I suggest everybody to do that. And I used to give mocks twice a week. So
Mhm.
2, 3 days, this 6 hours type 6 hour thing, and one day mock and analyzing. So in the initial days, we need not analyze much, but at least we know where are we. So I used to do that, and like I used to put Wednesday, Sunday as the fixed timing.
Right.
So I used to keep doing that, and I did continue that for like October mid or October 10th or 10th ish, and post that I used to give like yeah, twice or thrice a week depending upon my preparation. And coming to this last 20 odd days, uh, actually, I think our cat admit card got released late, I think by a week. But my plan was to absolutely accommodate and be in that zone because I was at home and I thought to make best use of it. So I used to even fix my breakfast. So I used to eat oats so that I have energy for my slot, and
Oh
I used to
man,
not
nice.
touch any spice items. And even at the night, I didn't even watch YouTube videos, so that I just want to be prepared for the last
Hmm.
2 weeks or 20 odd days. I was just in that zone, and I used to give twice. I mean, 2 day alternate days. I used to give from
Okay.
yeah, November 11th to 21st or something. So I gave like 7, 6, 7 mocks, and post that in the last week. I just gave one mock. So
Okay. So all in all, I think we are looking at what
yeah,
close to. But you've definitely attempted 30 plus mocks
yeah,
in that case, right?
25,
Hmm.
25, 30 mocks. Yes.
25, 30 mocks. So can you dive deeper into your process of analyzing the mocks and how you turned that into an action plan?
Yeah. So initially, I just gave 2 mocks because we'll have lots of time to
Hmm.
prepare. And uh, yeah, I think I feel there are two parts in CAT preparation. I mean, CAT. One is preparation and second is execution. So
True.
preparation is all about being prepared, knowing the like quants and even DILR, it's knowing the patterns, and VRC knowing what to like. like I know how to read and how to solve. Its execution bit is where most people lack and don't do it consciously, I feel. It's more about how we approach mock. So actually, because I feel I used to forget how I approach, I used to write in my Notion or note template. So I used to read it 10 minutes before. I mean, I used to, last 20 odd days, I used to read it and visualize it. And I actually, 1 hour before mock only, I used to just sit quietly on a table. So I tried my best to replicate my CAT day. So 12:30 is my slot. So I used to not touch
Hmm.
anything from 11:30 to 12:30, just 1 hour calmly. So I used to visualize and everything. So
Very
12:30 to
fabulous. Yeah.
2:30 is my slot. And yeah, so that's my strategy.
A
It's
lot of
more about,
psychological hacks. Any chance that we can snag your Notion template in case you're comfortable sharing that? I mean, it can at times be personal, so I know. Ah,
it's not
but
personal. I'm happy to share.
okay, so we'll probably get in touch with you, and then
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
run people through later.
yeah.
And so once again, when you analyzed, you went back and looked at the questions that you got wrong. Did you
Yes,
used to think
yeah,
of what went wrong, and then how did you
yes.
act on that information subsequently?
Yeah, so I feel, yeah, mocks need to be analyzed, that is for sure. But
Hmm.
I feel people do it little wrong, or people do little lengthy. They say 4 6 hours of mock analysis needs to be done. I feel firstly, the ones which we got right, so needs to be looked at the end. Firstly,
Okay.
once
Hmm.
I feel, and once we got wrong, needs to be looked at initially. And yeah, it's VRC. It's all about what kind of mistake that we have made. So it's I used to make mistake categories. So I used to have a table wherein some 8 categories I used to put, and I used to every time I make a mistake. So I used to one two I used to put a count. So
So
whenever
what are those, what were those categories for you?
yeah, I think it's abrupt reading and
Hmm.
not reading question properly, or
Okay.
actually people try to pick the right option rather than eliminating the wrong option. So
Hmm.
not reading for options clearly, and uh, yeah, like because it's been some time, I am unable to recollect. But yeah, around those. So I put that in
Oh,
my Notion
fantastic.
template as well.
So
Yeah,
you've
so I used to
turned
put a
it all
count
into a very systematic way of
systems. I
evaluating
try to do
analyzing.
it. Yeah, I try to
Right?
do everything from my end, I feel.
That
So yeah,
so
I used
nice.
to watch it before my mock so that I won't repeat those mistakes. So that's
Hmm.
for my VRC bit. And coming to DLR, uh, yeah, I think it's about how we should start the set. So people
Hmm.
tend to do every set after the mock. I feel it's more to know the opening and
Right.
how do we solve. So and I feel 50% if you solve all of the cat, we'll get 99%. So that was my strategy
Agree.
too. I didn't want to solve everything. And my hack has always been even the last 20 odd days, we shouldn't touch 100% of the mock. So it's just
Hmm.
50%. What we would do in cat, so we should if we just stick to that, that would be good. So
Okay.
yeah,
And
wrongs
how's
and yeah,
hmm.
yeah, yes,
How was your VAT PI experience overall?
yeah.
You remember
Even
the
coming
topic
to
that was given to you for VAT?
uh, for what I am Bangalore, yeah, I am Bangalore. It's about traffic in Bangalore. So how do we navigate traffic and increase even better uh, I mean improvise the startup culture despite traffic struggle. So that was that
Okay.
topic.
Okay. And how was the interview for you? Did they ask you a lot of questions from WorkX? Since you're 2 years of work experience, did they also get into your academics?
Yeah. So coming to my interview prep, so so I feel interview preparation has changed a lot in like compared to past. So these days, if we even study 100%, so it's like highly likely that we'll get 101 because I mean we feel we study traditionally. I mean conventionally reading all the basic personal questions and knowing all the
Mhm.
static and data. And I gave A, B, and L, and I felt my like whatever I did like over the past 2 3 months of PI preparation, hardly it contributed to 10%, ten
Mhm.
percent of whatever they asked.
True.
So I feel it's more about getting in the zone for personality. So it's more about building that confidence and like like handling the stress and being able to clearly communicate. So there are these things like mostly. people should focus on personality bit rather than, like as much as we dump. So even they agree that people don't know everything, and so it's more about how we deliver and on that aspect. And coming
Hmm.
to this preparation bit too, so my I am Bangalore question started with a funny POV from my interview. So he said like all CS are scams too. So they started with that. So I
Right.
feel yeah, it's to like take it like normal and answer it in that way rather than getting involved in the discussion. So that went, and I
Hmm.
feel I am Bangalore stresses more on SOP. So it's
Right. True.
entirely SOP. So it's not necessary that you should perfect and everything needs to perfect. It's not that it should be personal, and they have asked lots of questions on that. So I said this is how I want to go, and they asked me few questions on that, and I said this is what I did, and they asked me few questions on that. Yeah, it was very chill, and but other panels have grilled, but I think it's more about SOP and like I think knowing your basics and how you apply your core into practical. I think if you focus on these two aspects, I think you would do well rather than learning 100. If you just focus on your core and how you apply that practically, so if you just focus on these two things, I think you would do well in development in the current scenario because it changed a lot from the
True.
past. Is what I
True.
feel.
Fabulous. So now that you've gone through this entire round and you're joining a college, when you look back, do you notice certain mistakes that you made in your during your preparation and that you can talk about so that the others can at least benefit from that experience?
Yeah,
Any one, two,
yeah.
three things that come to your mind?
Yeah, first mistake is like not opting and not actually structurizing my preparation. I know I try to structurize, but it's more
Mhm.
about trial and error. That's what I did. But in the last 4 months, you shouldn't be doing that. So maybe 1 year if you have, that's the ideal time. But if you have less time, or if you just because people often prepare along with their job role,
Mhm.
so
True.
it's better to stick to a good course and stick and follow them blindly. That's one advice I'll give. If you're not, then you should go trial and error, and but you should stabilize your how you approach and what your preparation rather than watching 100 YouTube videos. So I feel stabilizing is more necessary at least
Absolutely.
2 to 3 months before. That is one mistake that I did. And actually, I panicked in the cat on the exam day. So like I felt I think it's all about the mindset how we approach. So if you think it's okay, it's easy, it's not the end of the world, so we would do well. I felt I overemphasized on routine. So I know I've made routine so that I do well, but my DILR prep. So I mean, in DILR, especially while I was solving second set. So when I looked at 10 minutes
Mhm.
before, I think my mind went blank.
True.
So yeah, and
So
and
those
it carried
aspects for
forward
sure.
to my quant. So I feel you should take it easy, at least on the CAD day. You have done well. So you should just trust your thing, and you should just routine. You should do that routine and normalize that slot into your routine so that nothing
Mhm.
feels out of place.
True. So
Yeah,
did
I
you
used to
expect
even
to did you
yeah.
expect to convert IIM Bangalore at 95.18 percentile?
Uh, I've seen
Initially, when the results came
things in
out,
the
were you
past.
optimistic?
Actually, after on 30th November, I said this. I think this year has gone for a waste. That was my intent. But because
Hmm.
my profile is little good, I felt okay.
True.
Maybe there is a chance that's there. And on 25th December or so, I got CAT result. I felt 95 is at least decent. Above 95, I felt okay. There could be
Absolutely.
chances, and once I
True.
got IMA call, I was optimistic, and I was optimistic more on B because B places more weight on uh,
Work experience. Yes.
work X and the profile, and because I got
True.
diversity in place in kind of CA, and I got good percent in CA as well. So I felt
Mhm.
there could be call because they would look at your what your category and rank it, and if you're in top, they'll call. So I felt I I I I hope that I would be in it, and maybe I was, and that's the
True.
reason I got call. And even after getting the call, I was in the impression that my CAT percentile is way less, and I felt because it will be weighted of all the components, I would get low, and I felt I have to maybe I did I had no hope, but I had no
Hmm.
expectation, but rather hope. So and but then I saw you videos saying that interview, if you got a call, it's highly likely that they're interested in you, and you should
Absolutely.
trust, and you should give it a good shot, and you shouldn't over do it, I feel. So because I got less in CAT, so I don't want to overdo an interview. I just went normal, and yeah, you should be confident. You should be, yourself and do that. But I'm hopeful that I would get, but no, I was not expecting.
But
But
then
when,
that's
yeah,
what profile does, yeah. You know, living an entire life where you were disciplined is something that does
mm,
get rewarded for sure.
yeah,
Particularly the work ex in IIM Bangalore definitely carries a weight. It was lovely talking to you, Ravi. I hope that you'd
yeah,
keep enlightening our students, talking about your experience. And once you reach IIM Bangalore, it'd be lovely to see photographs from you. And I'd once again remind you of that Notion template. And if you could recall those 8 categories that you used, then we can probably help people to at least structure and streamline their preparation better. So all the best, and I look forward to
yeah.
hearing from you once again, right?
Thank you, sir. Yeah,
Take care.
you are
Thanks
an
a lot.
inspiration.
Thank you,
Yeah,
and have a
yeah.
lovely
Thank you.
evening.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Bye.